Alrighty. What's up, everybody? It's I, your travel god of extreme, Peter Joseph here, for video number 2 on your Wednesday evening / Wednesday night. And it's Wednesday night. You know what that means. We got Dynamite coming up in a little bit on that great station of TBS. So, got that coming up in a little bit. But before we get to that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching right here on the Peter Joseph YouTube wrestling channel, youtube.com/Peter Joseph. Make sure you like the video and subscribe right now to this very channel, which is getting close. It's almost 3/4 of the way to 800 subscribers, about 30 away. Try to hit that by Memorial Day weekend. I don't think we're definitely not going to hit it in the next 2 weeks, but then again, you never know. But we'll see what happens with that. At least we'll get close to 800 by Easter. But hit that subscribe button down below. Smash that like button to death. Stick that thumb right up the Rahoo. And don't forget to follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Share the video all over the internet. Don't forget to tap and slap that bell. Turn on all notifications so you don't miss the next video. Because if you miss anything, you need to get slapped violently in the face. Because you're SOL. And if you don't know what that means, you're going to get slapped again. Because you're SOL. And for those people that know what it means, if you don't know what it means, look it up, asshole. And that's that. And if you're brand new to the channel for the first time, welcome to the party, pal. We hope you enjoy the ride. Sit back, relax, you grab yourself a nice cold one, and enjoy the show. If you like it, great. You know, get out of here. Go on somebody else's channel. And that's all I gotta say about that. And we move on. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, we got Dynamite coming up in a little bit on TBS. But before we get to that, check out my first video of the day over on my Metal Guy channel, my tribute to the late, great Val Kilmer, who passed away yesterday at the age of 65 due to that horrible disease, cancer. He had throat cancer and lost his voice, pretty much. And it was just a matter of time before it took his life. And sadly, it took his life yesterday. So he passed away at 65. So check out the video. Link will be down below in the gobbledygook. And that's pretty much it. Alright. So we move on with that. Baseball tonight. Now, something very interesting happened. Now, I was watching the Mets game. They were down 4-2 in the 8th, and then Big Pete Alonso took out his torpedo bat. No, he didn't take out his torpedo bat. He took out his big stick and hit a 3-run bomb in the center field to tie the game at 4. And then Edwin Diaz comes in, and what does he do? Gets the first guy out. Next guy gets a single. Steals second. Goes to third on a wild pitch. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Gets the next guy out on a strikeout. Then the next guy up hits a ball to Beatty. Beatty throws to Luis Torrens, who ended the game for defensive purposes. And then the Marlins scored the run, and I was like, oh, I thought the game was over by now. But, and there's a but, and it does not stink. I think they went to replay, and the guy was out at home. So Beatty, got lucky on that one, and the Mets did too. So right now the game's in extra innings, top of the 10th, with the ghost runner. I think that's still, I don't know why that's still a thing now, but the Mets and the Marlins tied at 4, top of the 10th. We'll see what happens, but the Mets basically got a gift from Alonso and a gift from the umpires and the replay crew. So there you go. The Yankees have just started their game 2 of the series in a construction site in the Bronx against the Diamondbacks. And, Yankees pretty much, like they did in the World Series, they choked a 4-2 lead and lost 6-4 to the horrible Diamondbacks. So Game 2 of that series is happening right now. And pretty much right now, the Mets in the top of the 10th. And, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully the Mets can score the run. And then we'll see what happens with their bullpen, even though, you know, Clay Holmes, I think, well, not Clay Holmes, I think it was Reed Garrett gave up 2 runs. Not good. So the bullpen was doing so good for the Mets the last 5 games, kind of laid a stinker in the 7th inning and gave the Marlins the lead at the time before Pete Alonso hit that big, meaty dick missile, that's home run for you people, to tie the game. And by the grace of the freaking blah 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 blah, by the grace of the replay gods, the game is still tied. Alright, so we're in the top of the 10th inning, 2 out. Runners on first and third for a big Juan Soto. Let's see if he can get his, you know, get that big, huge hit in his Met career. So, he's doing pretty well. He's 1 for 4. He's batting 250 right now. Not that we care about that, but he's in a big spot, first and third, 2 out. And, let's see what happens with that. Alright, so we had Beatty as the ghost runner. And then, Luis Angel Acuna replaced him, so he's going to be, in the 10th inning playing second base. Tyrone Taylor with a single, and, well, like a dinky dunker, and, Acuna couldn't really score, because it was a really shitty, fly ball. And then, Terrence flied out, and Lindor popped out the third. They can't get any people, can't get anybody in with under 2 outs left, and now Soto grounded out the third. Fuck! Alright, so we'll see who's going to be pitching the 10th inning for the Mets. But like I said, they got lucky that they're still in this game. And it's 4-4, bottom of the 10th. The Marlins will have their ghost runner on second base, so a hit probably wins the game. So we'll see who would be pitching for the Mets in the 10th. I doubt it'd be Diaz. So probably one of their other pitchers, maybe Stanek, maybe Brazaban. I don't know. Minter was in, and he didn't do great, but it is what it is, and that's that. All right, really quickly, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to Dynamite in 20 minutes, it is time on video number 2 right here on the Peter Joseph channel. I'm Peter Joseph, but you knew that already, and if you didn't know, now you know. All right, it is time for your NXT thoughts. You understand? Thoughts. For April Fool's Night, April the 1st, 2025, we are still at home base, the Capitol Wrestling Center at the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. Alright, we got a couple weeks away till stand and deliver. You gotta say it like the Yes Boys. You can't say it stand and deliver. No, stand and deliver like the Yes Boys. And that's that. Alright, so a couple weeks away from that. We got some interesting things that happened last night. We had the main event of Shawn Spears, the leader of the Culling, taking on Absolute Ricky Starks for the men's North American title. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But before we get to that, our commentary team, as always, the man with the creepy jacket and lots of candy, Vic Joseph, Corey Slave, and the man who smokes more fucking weed than you do, and that's Booker T, sucker! Oh yeah, man, oh yeah! The Kool-Aid Man himself, Booker T. Alright, so we start the show off with the double champion, or so we thought at the time, Stephanie Verker, La Primera, comes out with both belts. She joins Ava Raine in the ring. Ava praises her for retaining both belts last week against Jada Parker and Fallon Henley. But sadly, she announces that Stephanie has agreed, why, I don't know, to vacate the Women's North American title. So we're going to have a 6-woman ladder match at Stunned and Deliver, and qualifying matches will begin on the program. I'm like, why? Why are we breaking up the belt? Why? I mean, Stephanie can't defend both belts. It's not like anybody can't do that these days. That pissed me off so bad. That they had to vacate the belt. It feels like when Mandy won the NXT UK title, they just threw that out. Mandy never defended that belt because NXT UK pretty much went extinct. It was stupid. So this decision really pissed me and most of the WC off. I did not like it. We're going to get a new champ. I would just say, why don't you just give it to Fallon Henley last week? Solves your problem. We don't need qualifying matches at a 6-way ladder match. Come on now, man. Shawn Michaels, I mean, what are you thinking? I don't know what you're thinking, really, these days. And Tony Khan's starting to get smart again. Why? Because July the 12th, which is All In Texas, has a special start time of 3 p.m., which is, well, no, it's, I think it's 3 p.m., 2 p.m. Central Time, obviously. And that's because Saturday's main event is the same night. That's going to be at 8 o'clock. So, hey, Tony Khan's giving Hunter a favor as a lead-in to Saturday night's main event. Because there won't be Collision. That Collision will be that Thursday. And Death Before Dishonor, which is the next pay-per-view for Ring of Honor, will be July the 11th. The 11th. That's that Friday night, going head-to-head with SmackDown. Not great, but still. But that's going to be in Texas, in Arlington, at the Esports Arena. Well, that's good that AEW is having a WrestleMania-type weekend in July in Texas. So basically, All In is basically their WrestleMania. Anyway, so they're gonna have Collision. They're gonna have Death Before Dishonor. Then they're gonna have we're gonna have Dynamite, Collision, Death Before Dishonor, then All In, and then that's it. That's a pretty good weekend. The second weekend of July. So get your tickets now if they're on sale. I know All In is still on sale. I don't know when Death Before Dishonor tickets will go on sale on Dynamite and Collision, but go see it. And tell Hunter he can go fuck himself. No, but we got that. Alright, so we had this horrible freaking vacating of the Women's North American title. And then Semi's like, no, not just yet. I will give up the title, but I get to pick the challenger for the women's title. Or for my women's title. So she's like, I don't care about the I'll give up my title, but at Stunned and Deliver, I will pick my opponent. So I'm like, well, it's gotta be Jordynne Grace, right? Well, on cue, she comes out, Big Mama Pump, says she wants to have the title match. And the fans are like, yeah, let's do it, come on, Stand and Deliver right there. And then Jada Parker, oh, she was looking good. She comes in and says, I dropped your ass last week. But then Jordan brings up how Jada lost the title match to Stephanie last week. They start brawling. Like 3 security guards come out. And then one of the guys gets launched into mid-air. Like he's Jazz from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Launched into mid-air. Damn. So we get that. And Jay's like, oh shit, I'm out of here. They back off a bit. And we're going to get that match next week between Jada and Jordynne Grace. And then, really, nothing much happened to Stephanie Vercourt. She's like, I'm out of here. So we'll see what happens with that. And we move on. Alright, Trick Winnie is in the house. He wants to face Oba Femi Darhuda from Wakanda, the NXT champ at Stand and Deliver in a rematch. And we'll see what happens with that. So we see Oba coming into the building. And he's ready to deal with Trick, but we'll get to that later. Alright, then we go to the women's locker room. We see Luna Faisese. Oh, yes. She's arguing with the newly single Corey Jade because her ex-boyfriend now is going out with Thea Hale. Oh, that should be a fun locker room to be in. You stole my man, bitch! So we got that. So they're bickering over the ladder match, and Corey's like, oh, you're only gonna win the belt so you can shake your ass. Well, that's not a bad thing. So we get to that. So we get our first qualifying match, Delta versus Last Legend, Kick Gun. With a lovely Sol Ruka at ringside, and she can suck my lollipop all night long, and that's Jakar Miss Jackson if you're nasty. Alright, pretty good match. Sadly, once again, the Meta Girls can't buy a win as Delta gets right back up after a choke slam, hits the spear, then the F5. 1, 2, 3. She's the first participant in the 6-way ladder match. Ah! They can't win. I don't know. I don't know why they can't win. I don't know why. And we'll move on with that. I'm just pissed about that. Alright, then we go to the men's locker room this time. Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura, the Cowboys. They're not going to do some cowboy shit, but the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? So they want to get the Stand and Deliver, but then Wesley, Tyreek Igve, and Tyson DuPont, the rookies, well, not Wesley, but Wesley and the rookies, they come in, they start arguing about like who should go to Stand and Deliver and this and that. And then they're arguing, and then anyone was like, stop it! Shut up! So he's like, how about me and you, Wesley, in a match next week? Okay. Alright, so we got Inamura versus Wesley in a random match next week. And that's it. Moving on. Alright, go to the women's locker room this time. Kaylani Jordan seems very interested in getting into the ladder match, but then we see an old friend of ours, former NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez, Roxy, looking amazing as always, as Drake Moreau's chick. You lucky guy, you, Drake. Even though you didn't win LFG. You suck. So anyway, she comes in and says, I want to win the belt, so I'll have every women's title in NXT, pretty much. And then Ava's like, oh, sure, you guys can have a match tonight. Why not? Alright, so later on we get Kaylani Jordan and Roxy, and the winner becomes entrant number 2. And we got that. Alright, then we go to my cuz. My cousin Tony D'Angelo, my legit cousin. Oh, good, you cooking up that calamari for me? Yeah, okay. You know, you gotta cook it up for me, you know. Get it done, like, before, you know, Dynamite's coming up in 10 minutes. Can you get it done in 10 minutes? Yeah, tell Luigi to get it done! Or kick his ass! Anyway, my cousin Tony D'Angelo is getting me a plate of calamari, and I only have to pay $2! You, fat boy, you have to pay $12.50 for that shit. Because he's my cuz. He's not your cuz. My cuz. But anyway. So Tony D and the family stacks the suspicious ones, stacks Lorenzo, the beautiful Adriana Rizzo, and the man who lives downstairs from you, that's Luca Crucifino. They have some intel for Tony about Dark State, and they talk about the members, Dion Lennox, Osiris Griffin, Cutler James, Saquon Sugars, or Sugar Ali, whatever you want to call him. We get some bios, most of them are college athletes, and they have a lot of intelligence. Tony sees potential in some of them, and then Stacks is all mad. He's like, we gotta take them down now, Tony! And then my cousin's like, hey, Stacks, settle down! You suspicious fuck! And then he's like, well, the last plan you put together didn't go so well, right? There's Stacks, but I still trust you, right? Can I trust you there, Stacks? Stacks like, he paused for a minute, and he's like, I trust you, Tony. I don't trust you, Stacks. From here to kingdom come. You are a very suspicious one, Stacks. I know you want to be the Don so bad. There's only one Don. That's my cousin, Tony D. So, stay in line, bitch. That's all I gotta say about that. So, it was good to see a little bit of backstory for Dark State. So, we'll see what happens with that. We got a 6-man tag team match at, next week. With Dark State making their in-ring debut. We don't know what members are going to be involved, but they're going to be taking on Trick Willie, Javon Evans, and Oba Femi. That should be an interesting little 6-man tag. Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. Alright, going back, we have Hank and Spank. They're dressed up as the Yes Boys, and the actual Yes Boys, Elton Strong, Elton Prince, and Kit Wilson, they come in, and they're like, no. Take that shit off. And that's that. Hank and Spank take on the No Quarter, Catch Point 3.1. That's Miles, don't call him Ozzy Osbourne, and Tavion Heights with Mr. Rico's son Charlie Dempsey, and my girl Maddie Winkowski at ringside. And was it a great match? But in the end, Catch Point 3.1 get the win after Hank and Spank try to be pretty deadly and try to hit Spilled Milk. Failed. And then Catch Point 3.1 hit the TKO DDT combo on Tank. 1, 2, 3 to get the win. Sucks for you. Stop trying to do that. Stop stealing from other tag teams that are way better than you. Fucker. Fuckers, I should say. We get that. Alright, then we get a video from the members of the Culling. Izzy Dame, Brooks Jensen, Resident Virgin, and Nico. They all want their leader, Sean Spears, to retain the North American title later on against a good friend of his, and that's Ricky Starks. And we'll see what happens with that. We'll move on. Alright, then Trick Willie! Shalom, he comes out and says, I'm still the man around here. And no matter what Obafemi has said, there's no stopping me. There's no stopping me now! Okay, Shelton Benjamin. There's no stopping me from getting back to the top of the mountain and getting my NXT title back. But then Mr. Banksy, Javon Evans comes out. But Trick's like, get out of here, the adults are talking. Damn. So Javon asks Trick, when did you know it was your time? Which really what Trick asked John Cena back in the day when Trick was on his singles run. So Javon wants his spot. His spot? My spot, dog spot, neighbor spot, but my spot. So he wants his spot. And he's like, I don't have to step out of anybody's shadow to do that. And then Trick's like, well, you have no idea what it's like to be a champion. And then Javon's like, you ain't Trick Williams. You're Carmelo Hayes. Ooh. Oh, and Trick did not like that. And then he's like, that's the same shit that Melo said to you last year. Damn. So Javon brings up dropping Obafemi at deadline. Oba comes out. He's like, why don't you say that to my face, you piece of crap? I'm Oba, the Hula. I kick your ass back to Wakanda. Anyway, so Javon talks about getting so close to winning a deadline. He's like, I'll jump you again. So Trick's not interested in that. Oba tells him to shut up. And Oba says, well, the now belongs to him. Well, this belongs to me. And Trick then tells Javon to get the hell out of my ring. So us big men can talk. So Oba says, Trick, you talk too much. And then Ava Rain comes out, and I'm like, here we go. And she does what she does. Triple threat match at Stand and Deliver. Bruh. So then Trick hits Javon. He gets knocked to the floor. Then the lights go out. Dark State appears. And always like, come on, bring it. I'm the ruler. I kicked your ass all over the place. Well, he gets his ass kicked for that shit. And then Javon gets his ass kicked. And then Trick Willie's all by himself. And they're like, oh, is he going to be the leader? Is he the leader? What's going on? No, he gets his ass kicked too. So who's the leader of Dark State? Or is it Trick? It could be a setup. Like, oh, we'll kick your ass, but you're still our leader. How does that work? So we'll see what happens with that next week in that 6-man tag team match. And we will move on with that. Alright, then we go to the trainer's room. We have Mr. Chase. Formerly of Chase. You! He's all banged up. He has a cracked rib, and he's asking the trainer for for when he can come back and get medically cleared. The trainer's like, well, there's no timetable for a cracked rib. Oh boy. So he's like, well, you have to ride home? No, not really. And then Uriah Connors, and yes, he's still alive. Kel Dixon show up with a wheelchair. He's like, well, we'll take you home. And then Mr. K's like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. So they're going out of the trainer's room. They had to stop because Jada Parker and Jordan Grace were beating the fuck out of each other. And then we get all that. Alright, so we get that. And then after that, we got the NXT Tag Team Champions, Fraxium. They're back. And they're mocking Hank and Spank over trying to be like Pretty Deadly and failing. So A-Kid and Ben Frazier A-Kid wishes that him and Ben Frazier were close friends. Not that close. And then we see these two teenagers come in, and I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? I mean, legit, who the fuck are you guys? So we find out that they're from Evolve, and they are... I gotta put Dynamite on, sorry, 1 second. Okay. Alright, so we got that. So, a new tag team from Evolve called Swipe Right. These little Hammondagers named Ricky Smokes and Brad Baylor. One of them looked like Zach from Saved by the Bell. It was like Zach and AC Slater. You know, the other guy did not look like AC Slater. But they're alright because they Saved by the Bell. Pretty much. These two Hammondagers come in and it's like, hey, we want a match against you guys. So then Ben Frazier's like, okay, we'll give you a shot. I'm like, wait, what? So Swipe Right, get from Evolve, get their NXT debut match next week? Huh? What? These two teenagers getting a fucking tag team match against the tag team champions? Any way to get Evolve off the ground. Alright, so we got that. Alright, so Fraxium leaves. Even though A-Kid's not impressed. I'm pissed. I'm not impressed with that. No. So they leave, and then Swipe Right are more interested in Roxanne Perez walking by, calling her, ooh, she's a smoke show. Oh, you do not say that. Oh, somebody kick Killer Cross. That's gimmick infringement. That is definite gimmick infringement. Why am I not on Dynamite? There we go. I don't know how I did not get to Dynamite. Alright, we are live! From wherever we are for Dynamite. And we're going to start off with the Death Riders. I hope this fucking storyline ends on Sunday. I can't stand it. Alright, so we got, alright, so they're coming out. Oh, okay. Oh, we start with this. Okay. So we got the AEW champion without his belt. Where is his belt? Maybe somebody else has it. Maybe Claudio William Yuta has it. So anyway, John Moxley and the problem solver, Marina Shafir, they're coming out. And we've got a mixed tag team match with Swerve, who's coming out with Prince Nana. And, his tag team partner, Willow Nightingale. So, right before their match at Dynasty for the AEW World Title, we got this intergender tag team match. Alright, we got Taz. I hope he's a Happy Met fan, but I don't know. Then we got Excalibur, the man behind the mask, Excalibur, and my good buddy, who seems like he's sleeping on the job. Wake up! Tony Baloney Schiavone. I like that vest. That's a nice vest. Mine looks better, though. But I think it's... Alright, so we got that. Alright, so Swipe Right. This minuscule indie tag team from Evolve is getting a non-title shot next week. Oh, excuse me, against Fraxium. So we got that. Alright, we got Edge versus Claudio tonight. Timeless Tony Storm versus Penelope Ford. Megan Bayne would be at ringside. You know, just to hype up Megan Bayne and Tony Storm for the AEW Women's World Title at Dynasty. And here comes Willow Nightingale, the resident fun girl. It's time to dance. Well, before we get Nana's dance, we get Willow's dance. Let's... Bam! I met Willow way back in the day when she was on the indie circuit. She's a ball of fun. She's so lovable. She always has a smile on her face. But when she gets mad, she gets pissed. And here comes Swerve. And my good buddy Prince Nana with his coffee. Buy his coffee, please. Come on, Swerve. Let's dance. Yummy! Okay, I'm not gonna dance enough. Alright, that's that. Alright, let's get the Mets score. They probably lost, knowing the Mets. And, you know, bullpen had a really shitty day today. Let's see. Oh! They got it. They got it. Wait, how did it be? Oh, it's 6-5 now. Bottom of the 11th. The Mets got 2 runs in the top of the 11th. So we'll see what happens with that. And, well, the ladies go right at it. Everybody's going buck wild! Like, Jay Briscoe, reach for the sky, boy. We got that. Alright, so we're starting this intergender tag team match. All over the place. We're going buck wild on that bitch. What? Buck wild. So we get that. Alright. Alright, while we move on with that. Alright, so then, let's go back to NXT real quick. And hopefully we can get back to the Met game before we end the shindig. And then, later on tonight, we'll talk about Dynamite. And, that's that. Alright, so then we go to Roxy versus Kehlani Jordan for a spot in the 6-way ladder match. Already, we got Delta already in. Pretty good match. And shockingly, Kehlani Jordan gets the win after Roxy's cartwheel knee to head, ow, gets a near fall, but then Kehlani plants it with a DDT, goes up top, hits one of a kind! You know, that RVD split-legged moonsault of hers. She gets the win, and she will be going to stand and deliver in that 6-way ladder match. I was hoping Roxy would be in it, but I guess then I don't know what they're doing with Roxy at this point. Alright, we got that. Moving on. Alright, then the new GM of Evolve, Stevie Turner, apologized to Ava Raine for Swipe Right, getting a shot at Fraxium, but then Robbie E., Robert Stone, brings up the match is announced for Stand and Deliver. And he was like, I don't care about that. I'm more worried about Dark State right now running amok. So she puts 3 of them in a 6-man tag team match against Oba, Javon, and Trick. That's next week. We don't know which 3 yet. And we'll have to find out next Tuesday on the program. Alright, then we see Ricky Starks. He's in the back. He's not worried about what Shawn Spears has been saying about his past and, with AEW and getting all that other shit. He's all about the future, and the future is when he wins the North American title. So we'll see what happens with that. And we move on. Alright, then we go to Delta. She wants Sol Ruka out there with her at Stand and Deliver. I thought Sol Ruka might have a qualifying match because she knows a thing or two about ladders. So we'll see what happens with that. But she wants Sol Ruka out there with her at the pay-per-view. Kaylani Jordan comes in and says, I'm winning the ladder match, and Delta's not impressed. And then Sol Ruka says, well, I'm gonna win. And then it's always like, I don't like that either. I'm not impressed. So, like I said, Sol Ruka's gonna have a qualifying match, I assume next week. She'll probably be in it. Is she gonna win? Right now it's Delta and Kaylani. So I think we're gonna have 2 more matches next week, and then the go-home show the week after that, we're going to have the final 2 participants for the ladies. And if we have a second chance match, we'll see what happens with that. Ow. Big boot to face. Gilmore Cutter by Moxley to Swerve. You gotta love that. Bang! And Moxley, stop stealing my move, you son of a bitch. And that's all I gotta say about that. Alright, so we'll see what happens with the ladies in the Women's North American title qualifiers next week. Alright, then we get an X video, Twitter video from Dark State. They're down for the six-man tag team match next week, and basically say the catchphrase, no one is safe. Alright, we get that. Then we go to your main event of NXT for the North American title. Shawn Spears and the Culling at ringside, taking on Absolute Ricky Starks. This was a pretty good match. And, back and forth they went. Izzy Dame gets involved, slips in the North American title. Get a headshot, a belt shot to the head. As the referee was trying to get rid of Nico, and he was trying to get rid of the resident virgin, Brooks Jensen, and, belt shot gets a near fall, and I'm like, maybe we got a title shot, maybe. So Shawn Spears loads up the C4, Ricky reversed that into one of his own, then he takes out Nico, he takes out Brooks Jensen, hits a big old spear, and I'm like, is it gonna happen? He picks up Shawn Spears, and it's Rochambeau, goes for the cover, 1, 2, 3, we have a new North American champion for the very first time. He's only been in the company for almost a month now, and that's Absolute Ricky Starks. You gotta love it. And, that's that. What is this? Swerve has Marina Shafir in some type of, I think he's trying to hit the JML driver, and Moxley had Willow in the not the Pale Rider, or the whatever you called it, and basically they let go, and now the women are going at it. Huh, that was kind of weird, but okay. Ooh, nice little judo throw by Marina Shafir. Ooh, that had to hurt. Locked her leg and it kind of rolled forward with the leg. Ooh. Alright, so we'll get that. Alright, so Ricky Starks is the new Men's North American Champion. So that's great. But the celebration was cut short by All Ego Ethan Page. So it looks like a Stand and Deliver. You might get Ethan Page versus Ricky Starks in Ricky's first official defense of the belt. So we'll see what happens with that. But all in all, pretty decent edition of NXT. And I gave NXT 7.25 out of 10 stars. Let me know what you guys thought of the show down below in the comments section, and we'll talk about it like Trick Willie would say. And that's it. Alright, I'm going to get out of here, watch the rest of Dynamite. Ow! Marina just put Willow through the table. Look like that back of her head went right through the table. Oh, she's definitely knocked out. Well, she's still coming to. He's like, my neck. She's not dead. She's just mostly dead. There, we get that. Alright, so leave your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments section, and we'll talk about it. And then, that's that. So I'm going to watch the rest of Dynamite, like I said, and maybe later on tonight, in a few hours from now, we'll talk about Dynamite on video number 3 on your Wednesday night, and then probably take maybe take tomorrow off, because I do got errands to run tomorrow. I got other things to do on my Thursday. So we'll probably talk about TNA Ring of Honor maybe late Thursday night or early Friday. Get you ready for SmackDown, and then we'll talk about SmackDown Friday night, and then we'll see what happens with the weekend with Collision and Dynasty predictions, and then we'll go on from there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, hopefully I can get a Met update before we end this shindig. I don't know if we can. Ah, she's biting him! Marina sure is biting Swerve's fingers. Ah! Ugh. Nasty. Nasty! Alright. We got the men's and women's Owen Hart Cup brackets going to be announced tonight. So they're going to start that, and I think the finals will be... I don't even know when I think the finals will be sometime before, it'll be at Double or Nothing. I'm like, when's the finals going to be? And I'm like, oh, duh, Double or Nothing. Alright, so for the next month and change, we got the matches for the men's and women's Owen Hart Cup. We do got wild cards. So let's see who is the wild cards for the men and women. Alright, so we got all that. Alright, so Brazaban is in 6-5 Mets. How many outs are there? Doesn't even see. I don't think there's any outs. Oh, it's 1 out, first and second. We got that. So let me see how the Mets scored. That okay. Top of the 11th. Bottom of the 11th. Okay. All right. So we start off with Juan Soto as the ghost runner. Pete Alonso walked, making it first and second. Nobody out. Nimmo singles to load the bases. And then Jesse Winker walked, so he gets an RBI via the walk to make it 5-4. And then Mark Vientos reached on a fielder's choice, fielded by the shortstop. I think it was an infield, it was a fielding error by the shortstop, so everybody is safe. So make it 6-4. And Mets could have done more damage after that. Bases loaded. And then Acuna grounds into a double play. And Nimmo was out at home. So it was second and third, 2 out. And then Tyrone Taylor flied out. And that's it. And then Danny Young comes in. And didn't really have a great game yesterday. And had the ghost runner at second. The shortstop, Xavier Edwards, for the Marlins, gets a... He comes in and singles in the ghost run, make it 6-5. And then Danny Young walks the next batter. First and second, nobody out. So the Marlins, get a big hit. They could probably score a tying run and possibly the winning run. And then Danny Young struck out Griffin Conine to make it 1 out. And now, but now it's still, Brazaban comes in first and second one out. I'm trying to reload it. And now Swerve and Mox in that ring. Yo, come on, motherfucker! So we get that. And hopefully my page will load and then we'll get that. If not, we'll just talk about it on the Dynamite post show and all that shit. Moxley couldn't even get him into a Soccer Street Cutter. Alright. Final score, ladies and gentlemen. The Mets win. Barely. 6-5. Budo gets the win. Rosenbaum the save. As, Rosenbaum came in. And he got Jonah Bride to fly out. And, making it first and third with 2 out. So a single will tie the game and continue the game. But Roseman, who's been pretty damn good in the last few games he's been in, he's like a whole new picture, this guy. He used to suck. Now he's great. For the first 6 games of the season that he's been in, he strikes out Otto Lopez looking to end the game. Mets win. They win the series. And they are back at 500, going home to Citi Field to face the Blue Jays in the home opener Friday afternoon. So, big Mets win, big division game wins. So they took 2 and 3 from the division rivals, the Marlins. They picked up a game on the Marlins. They were 1.5 back of them and the Filthies. So right now they're a half game back. As of right now, 1 game back, officially half a game, 1 game back of the Marlins for second place. So at 3 and 3, the Marlins are at 4 and 2. I believe, 4 and 3, excuse me. So the Mets are a half game back of the Marlins for second place. They are 1 game back of the Phillies for the top spot in the National League East. So we'll see what happens tonight with the Phillies game, wherever they're playing. And, that's pretty much it. So, Mets win, and we'll see what the Skankies do later on. That's that. And we move on. So it looked like he was about to hit the house call on Moxley, and then Moxley pretty much threw, Marina Shafir took a bullet for, her good buddy Moxley, who went through a table. I think Willow pounced Moxley through that table, and Marina Shafir ate the house call, and now they get the win after Willow hits Babe with a powerbomb on the Willow. So Swerve and Willow get the win. Pretty good match. Nothing great, but so that's it. So, wild, crazy opening match to start Dynamite. First 20 minutes of Dynamite. So, like I said, so there you go. We get that. And now Moxley's getting up. But I better watch out because, I knew. Why didn't Will saw him and why didn't she just turn around? She turned around too late, and then Moxley hits the Death Rider on Willow to knock her the fuck out. And then Moxley gets out of dodge real quick. And then Swerve tries to get him, and basically Moxley is like, oh, what do I do? So he, they lose the match, but Moxley pretty much takes out Willow, and now Doc Samson's coming in the ring. So maybe Doc's looking at the neck. Uh-oh. Well, Willow is wiggling her fingers, so that's kind of a good thing. She might got a stinger, but yeah, she's landed on her neck. Ow. So Willow might be injured. So we'll see if we can get an update on her later in the show. Alright, so we got that. Alright. So that ends that part. All right, so the Mets win. We'll see what happens with the Skankies later on, and that's it. Now we see William Yuta, of all people, beat Dax the Axe Hardwood on Collision, and then the aftermath with Dax tries to go after Paul Turner. Security comes in, Cash Wheeler comes in, and then Dax accidentally pushes Cash Wheeler down. He tries to apologize, and Cash Wheeler's like, "Well, fuck you, man!" And that's that. Alright, now we're in the back with Renee and FTR. And Dax got a check. He's gonna give it to Paul Turner. Yeah, Paul needs the money for that steak dinner later on. Here's your $25,000 check for your kids, Paul. Yeah, you can see that's a check. That's a legit check, too. Is it a blank check or is it an actual check? Alright, so he gives the fine money to Paul Turner. Not that he needs more money. But Paul Turner, you can't cut a promo. Stop it. So he's like, take the money and go spend it with your kids. You deserve it. Thank you. I only get $500 a match. Like, get the fuck out of here, Paul Turner. You old fart. Alright, so now Dax is trying to apologize to his longtime friend and partner, Cash Wheeler. You know, they've been together for 11 years. You know, I love this man more than anything in the world. Aww, somebody get me a hanky. I'm so sorry I did what I did. I didn't even know it was you. It was the heat of the moment. Yo, Dax should be, know what Cash Wheeler should say? It's like, pulls out his clock like, fuck you! He's got a clock! He tries to hug him and Cash like, oh, hey, we don't go that way. So basically, he kind of accepts the apology, and then, he's like, we're brothers, I love you, but, we need to talk. So, we got that. So, up next, after that, Timeless Tony Storm. Darling! So, as we all know, when Timeless Tony Storm comes out, tits out, watch for the shoe! Alright, she's going to be taking on Penelope Ford with Megan Bayne at ringside, so pretty decent start to Dynamite. Wild intergender tag team match. Gonna worry about Willow and her neck after Moxley dropped her on her head. And then FTR kind of let bygones be bygones. They forgive each other, and then everybody's okay. For now, I still think Dax is gonna turn heel, and FTR is gonna go Splitsville, and that's pretty much it. All right, guys, I am out of here. Thanks for watching. Let's go Mets! Big win in 11 innings, 6-5. Had to hold on to there. Had to hold our breaths. Take the Metamucil. But they get the win. They go to 3-3. Now they're on the plane going home to New York City. Gonna have tomorrow's probably gonna be a practice day, and then the home opener at Citi Field against the Toronto Blue Jays with Tyler McGill on the mound. And see what happens in that weekend series with the Blue Jays. If they even play half those games. Because supposed to rain tomorrow night into most of Friday morning. They should get the game in tomorrow on Friday. Saturday and probably Sunday's a washout. So I don't know if they're going to play the games Saturday or even a doubleheader Sunday. So we'll see what happens with that. Monday's supposed to rain as the Marlins come back into town. So they should get all 3 games of that series, and then they go to the West Coast to face the Athletics, and then we'll see what happens with that. So, gotta love that Mets baseball. Big Pete with that big meaty stick ties the game, and then they get Vientos and And I think it was Winker gets the time gets the go ahead run in, and then I think it was Vientos gets the fielder's choice, no RBI, made it 6-4, and then Danny Young has to come in and stink it up a little bit. Then we had a worry, and then Broserman comes in for the save, even though Diaz gave up those 2 fucking runs. I think it was Diaz who gave up those runs, you bastard. But it is what it is. But the Mets did not. They bent, but did not break. They get a big win to take 2 or 3 after losing 2 or 3 to the Astros in Houston. And then they take 2 or 3 for the Marlins. So they had a 500 road trip. Now they're back home for 6 games, and we'll see what happens with that. And we move on into the official first week of the season. And that's that. Alright guys, I am out of here for good. Thanks for watching. Until next time. Once again, 7.25 out of 10 stars for NXT last night. And that's it. Alright, I'm out of here guys. Peace!